Elena, I can't. I can't marry a nobody like you.
My family needs someone who brings value, not a veteran center.
Her groom walked away, mid-vows. Then 100 Hells Angels and 20 black SUVs stormed the ceremony. When Richard humiliated Elena at the altar, calling her a nobody, he thought her silence meant defeat until 100 Hells Angels on roaring Harleys surrounded St. Mary's Church, revealing the decorated Navy captain's true identity. Day 1, 3:47 p.m. St. Mary's Church overflowed with 300 guests expecting fairy tale wedding. Elena Marquez, 29, stood radiant in grandmother's vintage lace while afternoon sunlight painted stained glass angels across marble altar. 8 months of planning, perfect venue, perfect dress, perfect disaster approaching as Richard Blackstone adjusted his tie with visible disgust. Elena had hidden her military past from Richard's world: 8 years Navy service, Silver Star, Bronze Star, 3 combat deployments commanding destroyer operations. But civilian Elena worked quietly at Veteran Outreach Center, helping broken soldiers find purpose. Richard knew she'd served overseas, but not that she'd saved 17 sailors during Iranian missile attack. Elena never discussed it. Some wounds stayed buried. Richard Blackstone III, 31, represented inherited privilege without earned honor. His pharmaceutical fortune came from Daddy's empire, while Elena's medals came from enemy fire. Family pressure had been building. Marry someone worthy of our name. Standing in back pew, Commander Jake "Steel" Morrison watched his former captain in dress uniform hidden beneath leather jacket. Elena's executive officer, whose Iron Brotherhood had evolved from motorcycle club into veteran advocacy network. Steele's phone buzzed. "All units stand by. Elena may need us." Richard's internal struggle was visible. 8 months of family poison versus genuine feelings for woman whose quiet strength had attracted him initially. But money talks louder than heart when character gets tested. Some battles are fought in foreign waters, others at church altars, where true character reveals itself when pressure meets privilege and love confronts legacy. Elena sensed Richard's hesitation. 8 months together, but she'd never shared her real identity. Maybe that was the mistake. Maybe hiding her true self had created this moment where nobody faced rejection by someone who'd never seen her medals. Viral moment approaching. 100 Iron Brotherhood members positioned throughout Chicago, ready to demonstrate what happened when heroes got humiliated by cowards. 3:52 p.m. 4 minutes to revelation. Do you, Richard Blackstone, take Elena to be your wife? Father Martinez's voice echoed through church. Richard's pause stretched into eternity. Elena felt her stomach drop. Military training kicked in. Assess threat, calculate options, prepare for worst-case scenario. I can't do this. Gasps, whispers, phone cameras emerging. Elena stood frozen as 300 guests processed the spectacle of billionaire heir rejecting his bride at the altar. "Richard, what's wrong?" Elena's voice stayed steady despite internal sirens screaming. "I can't marry a nobody, Elena. My family, we need someone who brings value to the Blackstone name. You're wonderful, but you're just a charity worker. You bring nothing." The words hit like torpedo impact. Elena had survived enemy fire, commanded warships through combat zones, earned nation's highest honors. But nobody from man she'd loved cut deeper than shrapnel ever had. Laughter erupted from his family section. Elena's humiliation was their entertainment. Shareable moment. Billionaire calling decorated war hero nobody. viral gold being recorded in real time. 3:54 p.m., 2 minutes to thunder. Elena processed the rejection through military discipline. Don't cry, don't break, don't give them satisfaction. But inside, 8 years of hidden identity felt like tactical error that had cost her everything. Maybe she should have told Richard about the medals, about commanding 200 sailors through Iranian straits under missile fire, about the Silver Star ceremony where Admiral personally thanked her for saving American lives. But civilian relationships were complicated. Men either treated her like fragile flower needing protection or dangerous weapon requiring distance. Richard had been different until family pressure revealed his true character. Richard's mother stood smugly. "Elena, dear, surely you understand. Richard needs someone who enhances our reputation, not diminishes it through association with your kind." "My kind?" Elena's voice carried dangerous calm that Steele recognized from combat briefings. Steele's phone exploded with emergency texts. "Elena under attack. Full response authorized. Time to educate some civilians about respecting American heroes. 100 Hells Angels throughout Chicago received simultaneous alert. Family business. Commander needs backup. St. Mary's Church. Now." Elena remained standing while processing 8 months of relationship through new lens. Had Richard ever truly loved her, or just liked having a humble girlfriend who made him feel superior? 3:55 p.m. 1 minute to justice. "Elena, you work at Veteran Center making $35,000 yearly. I inherit $300 million next year. Mathematics makes this impossible." Richard continued his humiliation while guests recorded spectacle. Elena's military bearing straightened. "Mathematics, Richard? Let me calculate something for you." The shift in her tone made Steele smile. Commander Marquez was emerging from civilian disguise. "Your inheritance unearned, your character untested, your courage non-existent, your contribution to society, Daddy's money. My service, 8 years commanding others under enemy fire while protecting freedoms you take for granted." The response stunned guests. Quiet charity worker was revealing steel beneath silk. Richard sneered. "Military service doesn't change economics, Elena. You're still nobody important enough for Blackstone family standards." But distinctive sound was approaching, 100 Harley engines in perfect formation. Steele's emergency call had activated Iron Brotherhood response that would demonstrate what happened when decorated officers got publicly humiliated by cowards. Elena heard the rumble and smiled for first time since Richard's rejection began. Her real family was coming. Cliffhanger, church doors exploded open as 100 Hells Angels stormed in, wearing dress uniforms beneath leather colors, led by Commander Steele Morrison, whose voice boomed across marble altar. 3:56 p.m. Brotherhood arrives. 100 Hells Angels filled St. Mary's Church wearing military dress uniforms beneath leather colors. Combined service. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, decades of sacrifice that Richard's privilege couldn't comprehend. Steele approached altar with bearing that 8 years under Elena's command had developed. "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Commander Elena Marquez, United States Navy." Richard's face drained color. "That's impossible. She works at Silver Star recipient," Steele continued, "Bronze Star recipient, Navy Cross recipient for extraordinary heroism, saving 17 sailors during Iranian missile attack." Congregation gasped. The nobody Richard rejected was decorated war hero whose courage had protected American lives, including ungrateful civilians like Blackstone family. Elena remained silent, while Steele's revelation transformed wedding disaster into military recognition ceremony. Her hidden identity was finally exposed. Commander Marquez chose civilian service helping broken veterans rather than pursuing corporate career her medals could have earned. She serves others instead of serving herself. Richard's mother attempted damage control. Military service doesn't change social mathematics. Ma'am, Steele interrupted with respect that carried steel underneath. Mathematics show Commander Marquez saved more American lives than your entire family combined. That's mathematics that matters. 4:02 p.m. Social media eruption. Hero Humiliated exploded across platforms as wedding guests shared revelation that rejected bride was decorated military commander whose service record exceeded most families' combined achievements. Billionaire calls Navy war hero nobody at altar. Twitter posts generated instant outrage, while visual evidence showed civilian cowardice attacking military valor without justification. Steele produced Elena's service citations, while congregation learned about heroism that modesty had concealed from civilian society that rarely recognized military sacrifice beyond superficial patriotism. Silver Star citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry during Iranian missile attack. Commander Marquez's tactical brilliance and personal courage under fire saved 17 American lives, while destroyer sustained critical damage during convoy protection mission." Richard watched his humiliation reverse into her vindication. Woman he'd called nobody was genuine American hero, whose sacrifice had protected civilian freedoms that comfortable families took for granted. Elena's internal struggle was finally visible, 8 months hiding true identity, fear of being seen as either broken victim or dangerous weapon, choosing vulnerable civilian love over proud military recognition, all destroyed by man too weak for truth. I never told Richard about medals because I wanted to be loved for who I am now, not who I was in combat. Elena finally spoke. Apparently, that was mistake. 4:08 p.m. Richard's reckoning. Steele's final revelation shattered remaining pretense. Commander Marquez commanded destroyer operations through 3 combat zones. Her leadership saved hundreds of lives beyond official citations. She chose civilian service helping veterans instead of pursuing Pentagon career she'd earned. Richard faced reality. That woman he'd rejected possessed more honor in one medal than his entire inheritance represented. Military heroism versus inherited privilege, earned respect versus purchased status. Elena, I didn't know about your background. If you'd told me about military service, maybe what, Richard? Elena's voice carried command authority that combat had forged. I'm exactly the same person you called nobody 5 minutes ago. Military medals don't change my worth. They reveal your inability to recognize value that isn't measured in dollars. The distinction was crucial. Elena wasn't seeking validation through military achievement. She was demanding respect for human dignity that service had earned, but civilian identity should have deserved equally. 20 black SUVs surrounded church as federal security responded to potential threat against military officer whose cover had been blown. Elena's service record required protective assessment, but Elena waved them off. This was personal matter, not security issue. Commander, federal protection is available, agent announced. Thank you, but unnecessary. I'm surrounded by real family. Elena gestured toward 100 Iron Brotherhood members whose loyalty transcended military service into lifelong commitment. 4:15 p.m. Richard's choice. Richard faced decision that would define his character, admit weakness, and beg forgiveness, or double down on family privilege that Elena's heroism had exposed as meaningless. Elena, my family has standards. Your family has money, Elena interrupted. Standards require character you've demonstrated you lack when tested under pressure that reveals true nature beneath privileged surface. Elena's words struck Richard like enemy fire. This was woman who'd commanded warship through combat, saved American lives under impossible conditions, chosen service over recognition, and he'd called her nobody. I was wrong, Richard whispered. First honest words he'd spoken since rejection began, but Elena was processing 8 months of hidden identity. Fear of judgment had made her bury military achievements that should have been source of pride. Richard's love couldn't survive truth about who she really was. Wrong about what, Richard? About my value? About military service? Or about having courage to stand up to family pressure that revealed your character when tested? The question hung in church air while congregation witnessed psychological autopsy of relationship that had died when privilege met principle. Steele watched his former commander reclaim dignity that civilian disguise had buried. This was Elena Marquez, he remembered, strong, direct, uncompromising when facing cowardice. Emotional climax building, Elena must choose between accepting Richard's weakness or embracing military identity she'd hidden from civilian world. Day 2, Sunday morning, Elena woke alone in hotel room while overnight viral explosion had made her national symbol of military heroism that civilian society had failed to recognize until crisis revealed truth. Navy commander humiliated at altar by billionaire's son. Headlines everywhere. Richard's cowardice documented through viral video that portrayed civilian privilege attacking military valor. But Elena felt empty victory. 8 months of love reduced to social media entertainment. Military identity she'd hidden, now public spectacle. Privacy destroyed by man too weak for authentic relationship. Steele arrived with coffee and brotherhood support. Elena, you okay? I loved him, Steele. Despite everything, I loved him. But he loved idea of humble girlfriend who made him feel superior, not real woman who commanded destroyer through combat zones. Elena's pain was deeper than public humiliation. Richard's rejection had confirmed her worst fear. Military identity made civilian relationships impossible. Men either wanted broken victim to save or dangerous hero to worship. Nobody wanted complicated human being. Maybe I should have stayed in Navy. Civilian world doesn't know what to do with women like us. Elena reflected while processing choice between authentic identity and acceptable relationships. Richard's business faced boycotts while corporate clients canceled contracts with company whose heir had publicly humiliated military hero. Market consequences for character failure that privilege couldn't protect against. But Richard's internal crisis was deeper. Overnight reflection had revealed truth. Elena was strongest person he'd ever met, and his weakness had destroyed relationship with woman whose courage exceeded his comprehension. Sunday, 2 p.m. Richard's revelation. Richard arrived at Elena's hotel despite security keeping crowds away. Iron Brotherhood blocked entrance until Elena agreed to 5-minute conversation. Elena, I need to apologize properly. Richard, Apology doesn't change what you revealed about your character when tested under pressure. Your family's money mattered more than my humanity. But Richard's appearance suggested genuine transformation. No designer suit, no corporate confidence, just broken man facing consequences of cowardice that had destroyed relationship with woman whose strength he'd finally recognized. You want truth? I was scared. Scared that decorated war hero was too good for pharmaceutical heir who'd never earned anything. Scared that my family would cut me off from marrying someone whose achievements made mine look pathetic. Elena studied Richard's confession. Fear, she understood. Combat taught you that courage wasn't absence of fear. Courage was right action despite fear. Richard had failed that test. Richard, I hid military service because I was scared too. Scared that medals would scare you away or make you treat me like trophy instead of partner. We both chose fear over truth. The admission created a moment of mutual recognition. Both had been authentic in relationship built on mutual deception. Elena hiding strength, Richard hiding weakness. Elena, is there a chance for us? I know I failed yesterday, but I want to be man worthy of woman whose courage saved American lives. Elena faced decision that would define her future. Forgive weakness and rebuild relationship on truth, or accept that some character failures couldn't be overcome through good intentions. Richard, I don't need man worthy of my military service. I need partners strong enough to handle woman who's both decorated commander and vulnerable human being. Are you that man? Sunday, 6th p.m. Elena's choice. Elena's decision revealed character that combat had forged and civilian life had tested. 8 months of hidden identity, public humiliation, viral fame, all leading to moment requiring choice between grudge and growth. Richard, yesterday you showed me who you become under family pressure. Today you're showing me who you want to become despite that pressure. Character is choice we make repeatedly, not single moment that defines us forever. Richard's relief was visible, but Elena wasn't finished. But relationship rebuilt on truth means no more hiding. Military Elena and civilian Elena are same person. Can you love decorated commander who also cries during romantic movies and burns pancakes on Sunday mornings? The question addressed core issue. Could Richard love complete human being rather than fantasy girlfriend who satisfied family expectations without challenging his comfort zone? Elena, I want to learn to love all of you, military hero and pancake-burning girlfriend. Will you teach me how to be worthy of both? Elena's answer would determine whether civilian relationships could survive military identity or whether service members face choice between authentic identity and acceptable love. Richard, worthiness isn't achievement. It's consistency between values and actions when tested under pressure. You failed that test yesterday. Question is whether you'll pass next time. Elena was offering redemption through accountability. Second chance earned through character change rather than forgiven through romantic gesture. Steele watched from distance while Elena reclaimed control of narrative that viral humiliation had created. This was leadership, clear expectations, fair consequences, earned trust, rather than automatic forgiveness. Moment of truth. Elena's decision about Richard will determine whether love can overcome character failure when authentic growth meets genuine commitment. 1 month later, Elena had returned to Navy active duty while wedding disaster had strengthened rather than weakened military identity that civilian disguise had buried through fear of judgment. Sometimes, public humiliation reveals private strength that quiet service had concealed. Elena reflected while command position had been restored with promotion to captain rank. Richard faced family ultimatum: choose Elena or inheritance. His response revealed character growth that public humiliation had inspired through confrontation with values that money couldn't purchase. Family, I choose woman whose courage saved American lives over money that can't buy honor. Elena Marquez represents everything our privilege should aspire to earn rather than inherit. The declaration cost Richard his inheritance, but earned Elena's respect for choosing character over comfort when tested under ultimate family pressure. Steele's Iron Brotherhood had established Elena Marquez's Military Integration Foundation, helping service members navigate civilian relationships without hiding authentic identity that military service had created. Richard's pharmaceutical knowledge had found new purpose through veteran healthcare advocacy, while career transformation served military families rather than corporate profits that previous position had prioritized. 6 months later, Elena and Richard's relationship had been rebuilt on complete honesty about military identity and civilian expectations. No more hiding medals or minimizing service that had shaped Elena's character through combat experience. Military Elena commands respect through earned authority, while civilian Elena offers vulnerability that relationships require through mutual trust. Elena explained during couples therapy that had addressed identity integration challenges. Richard's character development had been documented through consistent choices supporting Elena's military career over family approval that inheritance had represented through generational privilege. I learned that loving decorated war hero means supporting military identity rather than tolerating inconvenient truth about partner whose achievements exceed my comfort zone, Richard testified during marriage counseling. Their wedding small ceremony with Iron Brotherhood Honor Guard celebrated authentic relationship built on mutual respect rather than hidden identity that fear had created through societal prejudice. Elena wore military dress uniform instead of wedding dress, while Richard's family absence was replaced by military family whose loyalty transcended blood relations through shared service values. Richard's adjustment to military family gatherings required learning about service culture that civilian privilege had never encountered through inherited status rather than earned achievement. Military families share bond through common sacrifice that Richard had to understand without similar experience to reference. Steele observed, while Richard's integration had been challenging but successful. Elena's return to active duty had tested relationship with deployment requirements that military couples understood, but civilian partners often couldn't handle through separation anxiety. Loving military officer means accepting service commitment that transcends personal relationship when duty requires sacrifice that civilian marriages rarely demand. Elena explained while Richard had demonstrated growth. Richard's transformation from privileged heir to military spouse advocate had inspired other civilian partners whose relationships had been tested through military identity disclosure that societal prejudice had complicated. Corporate boycotts against Blackstone Pharmaceuticals had eliminated inherited wealth, while Richard's character had been measured through actions rather than access to family money. Elena's promotion to admiral rank had been celebrated through joint civilian military ceremony where Richard's support demonstrated authentic partnership transcending identity challenges that initial relationship had hidden. Admiral Marquez represents military excellence, while Richard demonstrates civilian character growth that authentic love can inspire when truth meets commitment, Steele announced during promotion ceremony. Elena's foundation had influenced military-civilian relationship counseling at 50-plus bases, while her experience had become standard curriculum for integration support that identity conflicts had required. Richard's veteran healthcare advocacy had earned respect from military community, whose acceptance had validated character change that public humiliation had inspired through confrontation with personal values. Their partnership had demonstrated that civilian-military relationships could survive identity disclosure when authentic growth met genuine commitment, transcending societal prejudice that military service often encountered. Elena's continued active duty with Richard's support had proven that military identity and civilian love could coexist when both partners chose truth over comfort during relationship challenges. 2 years later, Elena's command of Pacific Fleet operations had been supported through Richard's understanding that military excellence required deployment sacrifice that civilian marriages often couldn't survive without authentic commitment. Richard's establishment of military family support network had served 1,000-plus couples whose relationships had been strengthened through counseling that Elena's experience had inspired. Steele's Iron Brotherhood had earned recognition as veteran advocacy organization, while their wedding intervention had demonstrated community support for military families facing civilian discrimination. Elena's transformation from hidden identity to authentic integration had inspired thousands of service members whose relationships had been complicated through societal prejudice about military dating. Richard's character growth from privileged coward to military advocate had proven that authentic love could inspire personal transformation when accountability met genuine commitment to change. Some battles are fought overseas, others at altars, but most important ones are fought when choosing authentic identity over acceptable disguise transforms both partners through truth that love requires, Elena reflected. Their relationship had become model for military-civilian partnerships where service identity was celebrated rather than hidden through fear of judgment that authentic love could overcome. The Elena Marquez Military Integration Foundation had influenced relationship counseling at 100-plus military bases, while federal funding supported programs helping service members navigate civilian relationships without hiding authentic identity that military service had created through combat experience. Richard's transformation from privileged heir to military advocate had demonstrated character change was possible when accountability met genuine commitment to growth rather than superficial apology. Steele's Iron Brotherhood had coordinated $300,000 in military family relationship support, while their advocacy had earned recognition that motorcycle reputation hadn't previously generated through community service. Elena's promotion to admiral rank had been supported through Richard's understanding that military excellence required deployment sacrifice that authentic partnerships could survive. Congressional testimony had resulted in military family relationship protection, while individual transformation had inspired collective change supporting service member identity integration. Military recruitment had increased following Elena's example, while authentic relationship model had encouraged service members to maintain military identity rather than hiding service through civilian disguise that societal prejudice had encouraged. 5 years later, Admiral Elena Marquez commanded Pacific Fleet operations, while Richard's military family support network had served 5,000-plus couples whose relationships had been strengthened through counseling that authentic identity integration had required rather than hidden service that fear had created. Steele's Iron Brotherhood operated in 30 states, while their advocacy had created sustainable support networks for military families whose civilian relationships required community protection from societal discrimination. Richard's continuing character growth had demonstrated that authentic love could inspire personal transformation when commitment transcended comfort zones that privilege had established. They learned that some battles are fought overseas, others at altars, but the most important ones are fought when choosing authentic identity over acceptable disguise transforms both partners through truth that genuine love requires rather than comfortable deception that societal prejudice encourages, through military discrimination that community education and individual courage can overcome, through sustained commitment to authenticity that relationships deserve when service and sacrifice meet civilian understanding, through patient advocacy and demonstrated character change. Some battles are fought overseas, others at altars, but the most important ones are fought when choosing authentic identity over acceptable disguise transforms both partners through truth that genuine love requires.